Right,
All right,
okay.
okay.
Well, first of all, can I really thank you for the invite to join with you today? I guess that technically, because it's 20 to 2 where I am, you're speaking to somebody in the future. But can I introduce myself? My name is Paul. I am a teacher in a place called Port Talbot, which you're probably going, I haven't got a clue where that is. But it's in South Wales in the United Kingdom, and Port Talbot is kind of on the map because of the, if you could say, the actors that it's turned out over the years. People like Richard Burton and Anthony Hopkins, and in more recent years, actors like Michael Sheen, who are all from the area that I'm from. But I've been teaching 11 years, and I've been asked to share with you something that is probably the biggest regret of my career. Now I can see one or two faces going, what is this man talking about now? He's talking about regrets already, and he's about a minute in. See, Skype in the classroom is the biggest regret of my teaching career, because I regret that I did not start using it sooner. See, I was one of those people who, being an IT teacher, I always have to think high tech. And when I was thinking about how I could get my pupils connecting with the world outside of the four walls that our classroom was within, see, I always used to think that it was I needed a really elaborate webcam setup around the room and microphones dotted around. And I kind of put off, maybe for about 18 months to 2 years, actually starting to investigate using Skype in my teaching. And that's a regret I've got to live with, because I discovered it was a simple, I'll use pounds because I'm British, £15 off the shelf webcam that opened up a new level of learning and a new level of teaching to my pupils. And it was something that those pupils that I had at the time that I didn't investigate, they missed out. And it's something I've got to carry that burden of, and I really do, because I didn't look into it enough. But you've got an amazing program lined up today. I can see later on in the day you've got things like OneNote being talked to you, and OneNote has been labelled as one of the most disruptive tools that's been made available to educators in recent years. I honestly believe that Skype in the classroom is up there with that. I'm going to just share with you the story of the last 12 months. Okay, the school that I'm in now is a school called Ysgol by Baglan. It's Welsh for Baglan Bay School. They've got a habit of naming all the schools in the Welsh language these days, and it's only a year old. It was a combination of 4 schools merging together, and we have pupils from the age of 3 through to 16. And we are very fortunate that we are a technology-rich school. With a new school, they made investments in tablets and many other devices where pupils are working one-to-one with Surface devices. But we had a lot of teachers then who had to get used to a new way of working. And I really wanted to introduce staff to Skype in the classroom, but the last thing I could do is to organize events after school and say, stay behind and let me show you these things, because we all know that teachers have got a huge amount of work to do outside of school with preparation and marking. And the last thing I wanted to do was just have 1 or 2. I wanted to have a huge impact so teachers could see this. So we came up with an idea, and we called it, really simple, Skype Club. So I'm just going to share my screen with you now. This is my first time using Google Hangouts. I hope this goes well. And hopefully you can see a poster, am I right? Yeah. Okay, so basically we had this idea of Skype Club. So every Wednesday lunchtime and after school, we started it alternate weeks. I would just open up my doors and we would play Mystery Skype, or we would go on virtual field trips and have guest speakers. So how many of you in here are familiar with Mystery Skype? Yeah, there's 1 or 2 of you. Okay, now Mystery Skype is absolutely amazing, because as one teacher said, when she observed a class involved in Mystery Skype, they said they have no idea they're learning because they're having so much fun. So you will arrange using the site that I could hear Kyle speaking to you about education.microsoft.com. And you will find in the Skype in the classroom section an area called Mystery Skype, and you'll be able to make connections with teachers from across the world going, hey, here I am, get connected, and let's get our pupils talking. So we'll play the yes/no game. The pupils have no idea where they are. They'll play I was wondering, I looked around and I thought it was in my room. The pupils have no idea where they are. They play the yes/no game to work out where in the world the other class is, while the other class are working out where they are, and they take it in turns alternately. Now, what I have found in that is it's not just a game. Pupils are developing their communication skills. Pupils are developing their social skills, and pupils are developing their questioning skills. So in this game, pupils are developing essential life skills, skills that they will need later on in life when they leave education and they go out into the working world. But when they discover where each other are, they don't just say, oh, thank you very much for playing. Let's connect, hopefully we connect again soon. No, we let them talk. Let the pupils ask each other questions about where they're from. Help them to get to know the world. Now, the reason we really established Skype Club, okay, is for two reasons. Firstly, it was to introduce staff to Skype in the classroom in a fun way. So where I would open up my doors, as you can see on this, and we'd invite pupils to come in and play, I'd also say to the staff, why don't you come along and join in? I never once said it was a training. I just say, come along, sit down, join in the fun. And teachers would be coming in from all different subject areas. The other reason I did it was because although we're in a brand new school and we've got all the wonderful equipment available to us, the school that I'm in is in a severe area of deprivation. And with that, we have all the social problems that go hand in hand with it. See, a lot of my pupils have got very, very low self-esteem. They have got no aspirations at all. And we wanted to show them a world outside of what they know. So a lot of my pupils will never travel further than a 40-mile radius from their school. So we introduced a world to them through Skype in a classroom. Now I'm going to show you, hopefully, some of the things that we have done. Let me reduce that a second. Okay, so this was our very first ever Skype call. Now you can see there's some pupils outside the window in the yard. This was a lunchtime. And these pupils turned up and we connected with a teacher from India. And you can see the maps on the screens. The pupils will have the maps up. I encourage them, every question you ask, make that map smaller. And we had a great turnout. And the moment we did it, the pupils were saying, can we do this again? When are we doing it next? When are we doing it next? So we had to put a plan together of what we were going to do. And to help us track what we were doing, we put a map on the back of the classroom and we put a flag in every single connection. And you'll also see we got these luminous cards on the board as well so that they can see or track their Skype travels. Now, what thrills me is this board at this moment in time is completely covered. There are pins going in everywhere. There are pins on every continent. We have Skyped the Arctic. We have Skyped the Antarctic. We have Skyped, you name it, there is a pin on a continent somewhere. And the pupils can look at it and they can remember and tell you exactly what all the calls were. So that's how we track them, and the pupils work out the miles that we travel as well. So they work out where we are, and then they're going home and saying, we traveled 5,000 miles at lunchtime today. And you know what? It hasn't cost a penny. And that's the amazing thing. Our pupils are now being inspired by these things in the world that they are seeing. Okay, so history. You know the new film that just came out, Dunkirk? We had a history lesson. We ran a lunchtime history lesson with a man called Josh Levine, who was actually Christopher Nolan's historical advisor for the film Dunkirk that's just been released. And here are some captures that we had from that call. And I was sat next to a pupil who's always very quiet, very difficult to get him talking. And the moment all pictures of tanks were appearing, I was sat alongside him and he started telling me about all these tanks. Do you know what? I learned something about my pupils that day. There was a boy that I've been working really hard to try to get him to open up and to speak to others. And I discovered through this call a love of tanks that he had. We've now got an opportunity to kind of engage more and help him to develop in that. But how many pupils would have an opportunity to speak to somebody like this, where it's enriching the content of what's being taught in the classroom? See, it'd be very difficult to get somebody like this to come into the classroom to speak to the pupils. But you've got people out there through the Microsoft Educator community who are freely giving their time to connect with the pupils. Those of you who are familiar with Kahoot, Kahoot can be played over Skype. It was a teacher from the States, wonderful Stacey Ryan, who introduced me to Skype Kahoot. And here's some captures of a lunchtime where the room was full, and we had a game of Kahoot going on with 4 other countries. So we had like South Africa and America. There were over 200 pupils involved in this game of Kahoot. And it was such fun. And we're kind of building on that at the moment, and we're hoping to have something big in the pipeline coming soon, so which will be promoted through the educator community, which I'm sure your pupils will definitely, and you want to be a part of. So you can see another way in which we're engaging with pupils, and we're getting them talking to each other, as well as kind of developing their own knowledge. Okay, here we have. We connected with a school from Italy to help them improve their conversational English. See, Skype in a classroom doesn't just enrich and enhance the teaching and learning by allowing the curriculum to be developed further than what a book or a video would allow, but it develops global and digital citizens. See, in Wales, we've got something called the Digital Competency Framework, and we are looking at ways in which we can encourage pupils and help them to develop in being that type of citizen. And here's an opportunity. Pupils talking to other pupils across the world, giving them an opportunity to improve their conversational English. And then we just let them talk through this medium of their lives, the society that they're part of, their interests, their hobbies, developing friendships. And we've found that since doing things like this, the number of instances that we've had in school as well related to social media behavior have actually declined as well. So that's been a huge bonus for us as well. Now, you know, I said that I like to get the teachers in, and I like to, I wanted them to see how it can be used within their curriculum area. This is a photo that I absolutely love. This is a geography teacher having joined a lunchtime session and said, you know what, I'd like to have a look at how I can use Skype in my teaching. So I asked him, what are you doing at this moment in time? He said, we're actually studying maps and map reading. Well, how about an explorer taking the lesson for you? And this was a photograph right at the start of the lesson with a man called Justin Miles, who's an explorer. And he's doing a lesson with a class of 11-year-olds on reading maps. And when I spoke to the teacher afterwards, I said, how did it go? He said, you know, I was so nervous about using Skype in the classroom because I'm very protective of my pupils. I'm very protective of the content of my lesson. And he said, I was just so nervous. He said, but it was one of the highlights of my teaching career. He said, I absolutely loved it. He said, can you sit down with me and look at my scheme of work and where Skype in a classroom can be used once again to enhance what I'm doing in the classroom? He's done, since then, he's done a session, a unit of work on the Arctic, and they Skyped with an explorer called Jamie, who was 600 miles from the North Pole. And we've got a group of pupils in our school now who are actually trained on how to deal with a polar bear. There's not many classes across the world where they've got pupils who are able to know what to do if they ever encounter a polar bear in the wild. But more than that, if you have a session where you got, if you've got a lesson on the Arctic and you say, the book, how cold is it? They look in the book, it's minus 38 degrees. The pupils just memorize that number, okay? They discovered through using Skype in the classroom and connecting with Jamie that he was able to take that further and say, this is what the temperature is, and this is what it actually feels like. If I went outside with this laptop right now that I'm calling you on, all of the components would actually freeze on it. See, the pupils were actually able to start to relate to that. But then through these calls, their level of questioning changes as well. There were questions such as, what are the effects of global warming that you can see where you are right now? See how often do you have an opportunity like that to be able to ask somebody, what can you see where you are right now? Those moments, those things are really special. Now, this one is a bit of a small picture. It was taken on an iPhone, and this is our music department. And you may be thinking that people's got a bit of a funny stance there in front of the board. We had a choir from a school in out in the States that were coming over to do a tour of Wales, and they were going to do a joint concert with our pupils. And they rehearsed over Skype. So they were singing together over Skype. See, this makes things like this possible where they weren't possible before. See, the great thing is, doesn't matter what subject area you're in, you will be able to take Skype in the classroom and you will be able to shape and mold it to suit your needs. That's the beautiful thing about it. This class, I wish that you could see the pupils at the front looking at their teacher. Their teacher was selected in March to go out to Toronto to be at Microsoft's Educator Exchange. And when he was out there on the last day, he went to the top of the CN Tower where the glass floor is, and he Skyped his class from there. And he took them around and he told them all about the place that they've been in. And the girls who were in the front row all started to cry. They weren't scared about the glass floor. They were missing their teacher so much. He'd been away from them for a week. But this is what I love the most then. Without him realizing it, there was another teacher at the top of the CN Tower who actually posted on social media, there's a teacher up here Skyping his class and telling them all about it. You know, this is the type of teacher that pupils need. Okay, amazing that he just took out of his time. He could have been just spending it doing all the touristy things, but he didn't. He wanted to connect with his pupils and show them part of a world that they may never actually see. It's been really encouraging and exciting that I've had opportunities to go and speak in different places about how we've used and developed Skype in the classroom in our school. And this was at the BET show in London. You have kind of ISTE out in the States, and for us it's BET, and I know that Kyle has been there previously presenting. And this is a quote from actually one of my Year 7 pupils. He said, "I'm never going to let anyone tell me that I'm too young to make a difference." This was after a day of Skyping around the world. We did a 12-hour Skype learn-a-thon connecting with guest speakers, different topics. Now, they were asked at the end of the day, what was your highlight? He could have said connecting with penguins in South Africa. He could have said having a lesson using Minecraft with Stephen Reed. He could have said a number of things. And this is what he said. This is what I'm taking away with me. I'm never going to let anyone tell me that I'm too young to make a difference. There was another pupil who said something. He said, I've learned that I need to throw my heart out in front of me and run and catch it. He was also a Year 7 pupil who would be 11, 12 years old. So you know I'm a typical Welshman. I'm 6'2" tall and about 6 foot wide. I was wiping tears away from my eyes. I had to turn my back and I was wiping the tears away. See, I could never have dreamed of having this impact on my pupils. Not only is it helping with my teaching, but it's inspiring them and helping to raise aspirations as well in what they're doing. And we were really thrilled this year that our Skype club was recognised by our government here in Wales and was highly commended as a digital project at a digital event. That was something which was just I could not imagine. When they started talking about us, I was kind of shaking like crazy. And somebody wrote at the bottom there, great reward for great effort. Do you know what? This is for the pupils. Yeah, and as teachers, we want the best for our pupils. We want to help them to unlock that potential that's within them. And I have found that through using Skype in the classroom, it's really allowed that to happen. We set a challenge at the start of the year. We wanted to travel 100,000 virtual miles around the world by the end of the academic year, and we actually achieved that. And it was a huge celebration about it as a school. It was the first time we'd ever set kind of a target that way. But it's not the end. We're giving ourselves a target this year to actually visit all 50 states. So if any of you want to connect with us, we're hoping to be the first Welsh school that will Skype all 50 states. And we'd be thrilled if you could get involved in that. Now, Skype in the classroom. Oh, I've got a horrible feeling now. I'm not going to know how to get back onto it. There we go. I think I'm still sharing this now. But you can hear me okay, can't you? Now, Skype in the classroom is... There it is. Sorry. Okay. So, Skype in the classroom. Be brave. Have a go. Why not have a look at a virtual field trip first of all? Why not take your pupils to a turtle hospital and just watch their eyes light up and watch the quietest pupils start to develop a voice while they want to ask a question? Why not look to connect with a class through Mystery Skype and make a link there? And then why not go on to play Skype Kahoot later in the year when you have studied the same unit of work? Be brave. Go out there.
Sorry to cut you short, Paul. We got another session.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Skype in the classroom, biggest regret of my career. However, it's been the highlight of my career. Be brave. Go out there. Start connecting. Show your pupils the world. Inspire them to be a part of this big world that they're actually part of.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul.
Okay.